What's up, Tape Traders? It is JD, your host, right here at the Tape Traders Guide to 90s Pro Wrestling. And on today's episode, I've got an interview that started out with just Billy the P and then grew into Billy the P and CashFlow. The interview was done just off the cuff while we were sitting backstage at a New South show, and Billy the P started telling me about him and Cash as they were driving to the show, going over some old booking sheets from a promotion that they were running. And so I was like, while he started talking to me, I literally stopped him in his tracks. And I was like, Billy, hold on 1 minute. Let me run and grab my microphone. I ran in there, grabbed my microphone, hooked it up. And then I was like, all right, brother, go ahead and go. Because anytime that Billy or Cash are talking, they've got so many years in the business, and not just years in the business, but the specific years that they were, working for IWA Mid South and working for Ian Rotten and, traveling throughout Nashville and stuff were pivotal years in my overall fandom, pivotal years in the wrestling business in a whole, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, the growth and the expansion of the wrestling bubble, and then 2002, 2003, 2004 as it pops. So, the knowledge that they bring, and then they're right here, a part of everything we're doing right now. Cash is doing, big things in OVW, and Billy and Cash, with John Irons, is Cash is King, the tag team, the modern day Road Warriors, modern day Demolition, so they're still doing these badass fucking, great things. And so when he started talking, like I said, hold on, let me grab a microphone. We talked for, 20, 30 minutes. Everyone had to get dressed and ready for the show. So I told Cash and Billy, I was like, we should just do this, every 2 weeks. Fuck. I mean, every 2 weeks we run a show in Franklin, Kentucky, New South Championship Wrestling. We're all there. We're all a part of it, So why the fuck not? Why not grab the microphone and take 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes or whatever and sit down and bullshit and go over things. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully we do many, many, many more of these, and hopefully everyone that listens to them today, enjoys what they hear today, and we can just kind of move on and go from there. So, just a couple of things to plug real quick. Facebook, go to WrestleTopia on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WrestleTopia.pivotshare.com for the Pivot Share. And then don't forget about the NewSouthWrestlingNetwork.com. Check out NewSouthWrestlingNetwork.com for everything Alliance, from UCW, AWA New South, UPW, stuff from WrestleTopia. There's all different kinds of series that we have in developments, from the conversation series to this idea that we have to shoot stuff on the road while we're driving to and from towns. Just so many different things happening at NewSouthWrestlingNetwork.com. But hopefully everyone enjoys the episode. So I'm here with Billy the P, and we were just talking about, what was it, the
SW Southern Wrestling Entertainment.
Southern Wrestling Entertainment.
Now, this was Cash's own promotion, which we started around the end of 2012, I believe, and it ended right at the end of 2014. And this is in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. And, we actually had a booking committee at the time, Cash, myself, and this guy, Dean Gibson, who is kind of helping run the business side of it.
Uh-huh.
But he was also involved in the wrestling side, obviously. But I actually found our old booking, my old notepad from all our booking meetings.
I love that kind of shit.
Yeah, and when we were just looking through it on the way here, and I was saying, the talent that we were using at the time, because we were using the, not only just Cash and myself, but we were using Sarah Logan, we were using Jordan Cage, we were using Shane Mercer, we were, using a lot of good talent that hadn't really hit the cusp yet.
Right. Because Sarah Logan, she was dating Madman Fong.
Yeah. That's another thing we were talking about over here today.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah, it was. But, I remember Sarah in, what was it? What was the name of that town in Indiana? Clarksville, maybe.
Yeah. That's.
But I remember her being just a fan, about a 14 or 15-year-old fan, dressed all in Juggalo clothes, coming down there, and she was, coming to the, Pondo would let her into the back, of course. After every show, she's there, her hat turned backwards, all her Juggalo shit on, and of course their relationship bonded during, over time.
Right, yeah, bonded real well. I mean,
Pondo got, Pondo got her into Japan.
Yeah,
to train, so he got her in that dojo. That's something you're never going to hear acknowledged. But he had a huge hand in.
I remember without Pondo, I don't think that she would be where she's at now.
Absolutely.
Not because of a lack of talent, but he opened the doors.
He opened the door. He opened the doors for her down in Orlando.
Yeah. I actually just saw him on Saturday.
Did you?
No, 2 weeks ago.
I haven't seen him in a couple of years.
When we went to Fort Wayne.
Oh, how's he doing?
He was there. Him and his new girl. They were actually, their table was right next to our table.
Oh, okay.
And
awesome.
he's bigger than when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But he seems good, man.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He
Good.
took pictures with Earl and the whole deal.
Yeah, I miss Pondo. Pondo helped me a whole lot in the early days because he, on the side from IWA, and this is something Ian Rotten was very much against, but Pondo, we went behind his back, and Pondo was getting me booked in Evansville every week.
Who was running Evansville?
Well, it switched hands a couple times. It went from this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he had a lot of bookers. He filtered a lot of bookers through, like Bill Dundee and Mike Samples and, who else? Pondo. But, he went through several different bookers, and so I was getting that extra experience on the side. And, of course, for me to go work in the Coliseum, at the time it was always special because you knew it just had that aura, and you're thinking to yourself, man, Andre the Giant walked through this dressing room, and Hulk Hogan walked through this dressing room. Just little mark out moments for me in my early days.
When did you get in? When did you get into wrestling? Like actually in training and getting into the business?
96.
So when was it always Kentucky, Tennessee?
IWA was at the time was exclusively Kentucky.
Is that your first promotion?
Yeah,
IWA Mid South?
IWA was. IWA's first show was my first show.
Oh, really?
So I was literally born into the original group.
And in the beginning, it was all Louisville, right?
It was all Louisville at the time.
A month,
at the Kmart building on Dixie Highway.
That's the one I went to. Yeah, that's the one I went to. And
lots of good memories there. Lots of riots.
So how did you get in?
Through knowing Ian.
From knowing Ian?
Yeah, because I used to go down to the Gardens every week, to watch USWA, of course. And eventually when Ian got fired from ECW, he was coming up because his girlfriend Patty lived here in town, so he moved here to be with her. And so he started coming down to the Gardens. He was handing out flyers for little spot shows he was working on. But that time, man, I knew Ian about a year probably before. And how it went down is Ian, Patty, myself, and a friend of ours, Aaron, we all went to see Kiss on the reunion tour at Louisville Gardens. So it was the second show of Kiss's reunion tour in '96. I'll never forget it because that's where Ian said, okay, he said, so here's the deal. He said, I'm going to start my own damn promotion. And he said, here's what I want to do, here's what I want to do, here's going to be some of our current kind of cornerstones of it. And he said, I would like for you to be the heel manager.
And what did you think?
I grew up on Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart, so I was always a fan. I was a huge fan of Bobby Heenan, especially. So, what am I going to do? Say no? And I left college. I was in U of L at the time.
So when he comes and tells you this, you're a wrestling fan. Had you had aspirations to get into the business beforehand, or?
Well, of course. Always. Growing up. I started watching Memphis wrestling when I was about 6 years old. Never stopped. So Memphis, I was born, bred, fed on Memphis. And it still is my Bible.
Right.
That's still the gospel to me is Memphis, but
And so, like, bam! All of a sudden, it's
Yeah.
like we're gonna put you on a show. You're gonna be
Yeah.
an intricate part of this show. Like, what were you thinking at the time? I mean, were you worried? Were you scared? Were you nervous? Were you?
oh, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I was excited mostly.
And how did Ian pitch the concept of IWA? Was it the Southern style ECW? Was it harder than ECW? Was it, what was the idea behind?
I think the initial idea is that it was going to be basically an ECW type product, but it wasn't. At that time, it wasn't. I'm going to do over the top shit. I'm going to do a deathmatch. It wasn't. There weren't the over top hardcore ideas at the time necessarily. It was going to be more of a, like I said, kind of a cousin of ECW
Right.
wrestling, just in the South.
Right.
So that's how IWA Mid South wrestling was born.
Was Ian bitter at all with ECW and Paul?
Always. Now I see Cash's face, and he knows. Always. But,
So,
that was part of his drive to do his own promotion.
Right.
He'd say, "I don't need you, Paul. I'll bring the product down here
to Kentucky."
Because at the time he and Axel have been doing they've been starting to do the Taipei class matches and barbed wire.
And it was, it was hardcore here. ECW, I think everyone talks about it like it's hardcore.
Right.
But other than a matter of 15, 20 matches or whatever, it wasn't really a hardcore promotion. It was an adult promotion.
Yeah, because we gave
it wasn't
a little
blood
bit
and
of everything.
guts. But IWA Mid South was.
Yes.
The main events, the Ian matches were far more extreme than what was happening in ECW. Yeah. And then you had the Chris. Kat, go ahead.
I just want to say this. I believe Ian at that time was an innovator for that time period because I believe Ian introduced the Four Corners of Pain matches. Mm-hmm. ECW wasn't doing any of those type of matches then. I think those were pulled maybe from Japan, maybe.
Yeah,
but I think over
carrying
here,
cactus.
And I think that's what really set him apart from ECW and his whole flipping the bird off to where he come from.
Right.
He wanted to introduce something different. He wanted to go. The term is coined these days as ultra violent, and that's really where he introduced that, and that's where Ian Ryan's innovation came from.
Yeah, I mean, it just gradually escalated over time, I guess you could say, because really, you remember, Cash, in those early days, we gave a little bit of everything because we picked off all the USWA guys while they were still running. We picked off Tommy Rich, Tracy Smothers, Doug Gilbert.
And added that extra element of the blood and the hardcore matches and all those guys that had been so known for years.
Yeah.
You throw them in that different type of match, and then you got a unique draw for that particular.
It had a legitimacy to it.
The show that I went to in Louisville had a Buddy Landell versus Doug Gilbert's dad, Tommy Gilbert.
Tommy Gilbert, yeah.
Buddy Landell versus Tommy Gilbert in a straight up 100% wrestling match that actually brought the house down.
Absolutely.
I mean, it tore it down.
Now, did you see the Tommy Gilbert and Dory Funk Jr. match?
No, I did not.
From IWA.
No.
It was something that hadn't been seen a whole lot. Anywhere.
It was beautiful.
When he brought,
and they did a 20-minute Broadway. It was a thing of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, so prevalently, trading tapes, like when IWA Mid South came about, it was one of those things where it's like, they ran a monthly show, so every month you had to look forward to that new tape, I lived in California.
Yeah.
I didn't live anywhere near here. I was a huge Memphis fan, but not from growing up as a Memphis. 100% from tape trading did I learn anything about wrestling. Right. And so IWA Mid South was a important part of that trading cog.
Yeah, I was gonna say this as well. For that time period, that was kind of an introduction too, because were there a lot of fans out there at that time that really pushed the whole tape trading thing? Because I mean, let's be honest, there for about before the internet became really prevalent, there for about a 6 to 9 year period, tape trading was did huge business for indie wrestling all over.
Yeah, honestly,
because there wasn't really
from 1992 to 2001, I mean, I from my experience as a tape trader, I believe that we were the strongest base of internet fans completely. Because we spent all of our time doing nothing but looking for indie wrestling. Right. You could watch WWE and WCW on TV, but the only place you could find wrestling was tape trading. That's it.
Use it on
New Japan, All Japan, FMW, Wing, whatever it was.
All the Japan stuff was
Japan,
coveted.
He more or less, that more or less was introduced over there, and he was really the first one to, kind of plop it down here in a central area of the States, and then it just go like that, because, I mean, that's more or less where it come from over here.
Let me ask you, so over the years, 97, 98, 99, the people that were involved with IWA Mid South, I mean, a good 70% of them went off to become very legitimate stars in the world of wrestling.
I'm just gonna have to go ahead and correct you on that, because whether this gets me heat or not, I don't believe guys come from IWA to go on to be stars. I believe guys were stars in the making that had come to IWA Mid South because there was really not very much other game around, and then they took and plied their trade and ended up on bigger stages.
They got seasoned.
If you look at the original guys, Billy, and you know this as well as I do, if you look at the original guys that were in IWA Mid South, less than 1% went on to a bigger stage.
And less than 1% are still working.
Yes, and less than 1% are still working.
And I guess that's what I was going to ask was, did you guys know that, when you're working in an environment where you have these indie guys coming through, they're coming through that loop. They're working there's only so much left after 2001. Mm-hmm. There's only so many places left.
True.
So IWA MS was one of those places you could kind of roll through into the loop. Did you know that these guys were going to? They were something more so than the average indie guy.
Well, me and Billy, we talk about this quite often. Regardless of if it was then or, even to this day, Billy and I will see somebody out here doing the loops, putting the work in, and we will look at those guys, or we will see these guys working, and we'll be like, you know what? This guy really belongs on a bigger stage. You can tell that they have what it takes to, whether it be body type, whether it be the way they cut promos, whether it be the way they structure their matches, whether it be just a look and the way people react to them when they come out. But it didn't just, we've been doing that since we started.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about back then, I think, Billy and I from back then were probably more along the lines of, I don't really give a fuck about these guys, regardless of what, we were trying to,
You're worried about yourself.
We were worried about ourselves and what spots we were getting, just like everybody. Because, regardless of what people think about wrestling is still a competition. It's just not a competition in the traditional sense of wins and losses.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's competing for money, for spots, for opportunities, for time, it's a competition to. You want to be ahead of the guy that's ahead of you.
And I'm gonna be honest. I am so glad to be able to be doing this still with Billy B after 23, 24 years.
It's amazing. It really is.
It really is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's Cash and I have been connected to hip from day one, because we both broke in together, trained together, and
we bump ideas off each other. We grow together. Billy has no qualms if he sees something that looks stupid to Cash. That was really pretty stupid, or something that looks shitty. I would have no qualms about Billy. We really need to dress you up a little bit better.
Yeah,
we don't have any qualms about that. Just
because we know we're helping each other. We're not doing it to be sarcastic or anything. We're doing it to help each other grow. I mean, that's what we did.
Yep. Right.
Because really, the young guys were just kind of obviously we were just fed to the lions, the big guys that came here.
I mean, let's be honest. The way you broke into business back then, as opposed to the way you go to school to be a wrestler these days.
Right.
Back then, just like he said, in a literal sense, you were fed to the lions.
Yeah.
Which means you come in and they find out just how tough and how bad you want to be a wrestler.
Right. Yes. Literally.
You were literally broke in the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not broke in the business anymore.
Hey, man, you paid your
You go to
dues.
school to get educated
Right,
into
right.
wrestling these days.
Right.
You know.
And you paid your dues. That's for damn sure. Because I mean, not just wrestling related stuff, but I mean, from day one of Ian, I was out there helping promote, helping hang flyers. I was mopping the floor in the arena. I was mopping the bathrooms. I was cleaning the toilets. I was doing everything I could.
Building bleachers.
Hanging cash.
Walls, building locker rooms, building staircases. You know,
Building a frame upstairs.
Yeah, building a production room where they run them old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was everything.
Yeah.
It had very little. Probably 10% to do with your in-ring stuff.
Right.
You're trying to cut a promo.
It was no Mr. Miyagi bullshit where it actually turned out to be something.
We got beat up. We bled.
Yeah.
And we took the time out of all that work that we had to do to try and, work on our trade, fly,
Right.
Try to look as good as we possibly could inside a wrestling ring as opposed to being number one handyman.
Yeah, I was Steve Dahl's bitch for. I mean,
I love Steve.
I was his bitch, and I mean that was the agreement we made, and I drove him everywhere. He was doing real estate at the time. That's what he was doing for a shoot.
I mean, Steve for a long time.
He would have to go put signs out in North Nashville, which is.
Did you say Steve-O?
Steve Dahl.
Steve Dahl.
Steve Dahl.
I was like, oh God.
North Nashville is, the ghetto of
Yeah.
Nashville, And so he'd always call me up, and I would, run downstairs, and I lived in an apartment, and I'd jump in the car, and he'd be like, we got to go put signs out. I'm like, okay. So he'd drive into North Nashville, and he'd be like, all right, I need you to go put a sign there, there. And he's like, but I'll sit in the car. And I'll make sure you're okay from right here.
Yeah, I mean,
That's great.
I was out with Ian trying to get sponsors. I mean, but you know what? You have no idea how much that helped me because I was learning the business inside and out. And, just as Cash was as well, and just the other young guys. We were being put through a ringer, but it was valuable experience at the same time.
The last question I want to ask before you guys get dressed and everything is, so. The first time I ever saw you was probably around 2000, 2001, maybe.
Yeah.
Nashville. I never saw anything, outside of IWA Mid South in Kentucky.
Right.
I want to say it was Mike Porter. I want to say that's what I saw you on.
We did a lot of work.
Maybe New South Farron. Did you guys work for Farron?
No, we didn't. I don't think we did. We worked for We worked for TJ at the old sawmill.
Yeah.
We worked for Mike Porter, and we did a lot of work for Bert.
It was probably either Bert or Mike Porter.
Yeah, that's we were there a lot.
Kind of talk about the process you went through coming into the business, knowing Ian Rotten. Ian Rotten is the person that helped you get into the business. You're working for Ian Rotten, and now you are taking the step into booking yourself outside of Ian Rotten. And in this time period, wrestling's motherfucking hot, 98, 99, 2000, and then takes a giant dump, 2002, 2003. What was it like booking yourself outside of IWA Mid South?
It was a little difficult for me at first because Ian did not want me working outside of it. He wanted to keep me under.
He didn't want anybody.
Yeah, he didn't want. Yeah,
he didn't want anybody making any money off you.
Exactly.
But on the opposite note, I believe anywhere we tried to, I believe we had instant credibility because of the type of stuff.
Michigan,
because of the type of stuff that Billy and I was always involved with. I don't want to say that everybody knew who you were, but everybody, when if a promoter comes up and says, who trained you or who did this, I broke into business at IWA Mid South, bam, we always got those shots. There was never no, I got to see what you got first or anything like that. So, instant credibility, I think. Yeah. Now, did we have pushback? Did the management at IWA Mid South ever specifically go out and give us bookings? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
We had to work for bookings until they started no-showing them.
We had to work for that.
But, that is
I
very
used to
true.
get my guys bookings until they started no-showing them.
That's when you tell them to fuck off. And that teaches them a really good lesson.
No, but it was tough. But that's where I was telling you earlier. That's where Pondo helped me a lot in the early days because Pondo was getting me booked in Evansville and Cash, and Roland and all those guys. He was getting us, but he was getting us to work, and Ian was giving him shit about it. And he said, "Well, how these guys supposed to learn if they don't work?
Yeah.
Somewhere else. It's
Working once a month is great, but you can't get it unless you're working.
Different styles, different people.
Yeah.
We would take what we could get.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
God bless man Pondo for helping us.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
absolutely, he did. You have a lot of credit to him.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys get dressed, and we'll do this. We'll do this again. We'll sit here, and every other fucking Friday, we'll just sit back here and bullshit with Cash and Billy.
absolutely.
That could be a whole new show right there.
That might be a whole new podcast.
Bullshitting with Cash and Billy.
Bullshitting with Cash and Billy.
There you go.
And we love to talk about wrestling.
That's the name of this.
Let's make it happen.
This episode is Bullshit with Cash and Billy.
Oh, what do you want to name the show? Man, let me think about that. I'll get back with you on that.
Yeah, Cash has good ideas. He does have good ideas.
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
It don't make dollars, it don't make sense. That right? Hey, there it is. That's the name.
Cash is king, baby.